Isn't this beautiful? The smell of cherry blossom trees, the sunset scenery, the pixelated wilderness. Is this what it's like to touch grass for the first time? I should probably be doing it more often. Folks, even if you haven't played Minecraft, you probably have heard of it. It's not only one of the most popular video games of all time, it is single-handedly the best-selling video game ever, outselling the likes of Grand Theft Auto 5, Wii Sports, which came as a bundle along with the Nintendo Wii, and so on and so forth. It all began in the year 2009 as a tech demo called Cave Game, and over time, it eventually evolved into the free-roaming open-world sandbox phenomenon that we know of today, developed by studio Mojang and officially releasing in December 2011. Set in the overworld where everything is entirely out of blocks, you can create just about anything from characters, tools, inventions, entire towns, kingdoms, all the while playing with your friends online. Over time, Studio Mojang and the game Minecraft has introduced all sorts of environments and brand new mechanics into the mix, giving the players near limitless creative freedom. You can replicate monuments, you can build empires, you can fight bosses, encounter wild animals, invent your own games, and dive into the hundreds of custom-made mods made by the community. Admittedly, as a gamer myself, I have played Minecraft before. Do I enjoy it? Only when there's people to play it with. Aside from that, the only enjoyment I get out of Minecraft, aside from creating my own wolf army, which is so stinking rad, is watching other people play Minecraft, such as Rooster Teeth on their Let's Play channel. Right in the nostalgia. Evident from becoming a household name and due to its ever-growing popularity, like a lot of games both old and new, it was only a matter of time before Hollywood can get their stinking hands on this IP to create a feature-length film for Minecraft fans both young and new, including families that have sons or daughters that love the game. Sure enough, the rights were acquired, and a Minecraft movie has been released and has been in development since 2014. You know, a year where we still had good movies to watch. But here's the snag. Unlike other popular games such as Halo, God of War, Final Fantasy, even League of Legends, Minecraft doesn't really have a story. Sure, developers Telltale Games made an episodic point-and-click game, much like their other works such as The Wolf Among Us, and of course, the heavily acclaimed Walking Dead, but the game itself, completely barren. The plot is incorporeal. So what is Warner Brothers' big idea to create a Minecraft movie? Is it an animated comedy adventure that takes place in the pixelated overworld? You know, in the same way that the Lego movie took place in the Lego universe. Nah, that's just too good of an idea. Instead, they went, let's make it a live-action adaptation where our heroes are surrounded by a green screen backlot, on top of hiring miscast actors into the project such as Jason Momoa and Jack Black. Yeah, this movie's bad. All the fans were having a good time watching it. There's no objection to it. And thank God they didn't bring a live chicken into the theater. But I believe they deserve so much more than the uninspired, uncreative waste of potential dispensed by Warner Brothers' crusty, unwiped behind. What these people are getting are nothing more than an imbecilic, infantile project made by a studio that has no respect for the source material it's based on, and treats itself as a commercial for Minecraft than an actual good movie on its own. How bad is it? Well, that's what I'm here for. Let's get right down to this. In this film we have here that has been written by 6 writers, yeah, you heard that correctly, a Minecraft movie, at least I assume, is about these 2 kids, Henry and Natalie, who move into a new town and new neighborhood after their mother died. One day, on his way to school, Henry comes across a video game store that is owned by Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison, an arcade gaming legend played by Aqua Bro himself, Jason Momoa. When they come across the Orb of Dominance, which looks like the Tesseract, both of which were found during a storage auction, it leads Garrett, the kids, and their real estate neighbor, Dawn, through a portal in a mine somewhere and into the overworld. They encounter strange and frightening creatures, up until they finally meet an expert builder and overworld guide named Steve. And for reference's sake, this is Steve from Minecraft. I can see the resemblance. With the Earth Crystal destroyed after being hunted down by zombies, creepers, and skeletons, our characterless characters go on a quest to find their way back home, only to be hunted down by Malgosha and her piglin army who want to cover the world in darkness because we need a villain in a Minecraft movie. If there was one word to describe the problems associated with a Minecraft movie, it would be the word lazy. The storytelling is lazy. The characters, their development, the dialogue, the references, even its musical score is lazy. With the woodwinds performing some of the most boring rhythms and melody that you would find in a below par, bottom of the barrel family film. But of the problems that establish how lazy and derivative that this movie is, I really want to focus on 3 major points. First and foremost, let's talk about the script writing. You think that the 6 people who wrote this garbage would have the creative impetus to think about making a cogent narrative set in the Minecraft setting? Like say, I don't know, make it animated? Or you could do it something like Enchanted, where you can cross live action and animation, and maybe add some family drama into the mix. Like say, you have a family member who lost all purpose in his life, and he manages to find this world that makes him feel at home. And the rest of his families and his friends are trying to look for him, and once they enter this world, they try to bring him back. But unfortunately, that would take some actual skill as a writer. And some creativity. A vital aspect of storytelling, one might say the backbone of your story, if you're gonna make a fantasy world like this, is the world building. We're making a film like this where characters enter an alternative world that is not similar to their own. You would think that when a character like Steve finally enters the overworld, the film would actually take its time to establish its rules, how something works, what you can and cannot do. Instead, the film isn't given time to breathe and have our characters explore this environment, learning how to do things, what they can and cannot do, how do they build a mechanism or a building, or what happens in the overworld without narrating exposition. Of course, fans will understand what happens in the movie because they have played the games before. But for the parents who take their kids who play Minecraft to see this movie, and those who aren't familiar with the game, they're left throwing their hands up in the air saying, I don't know how this works. Maybe it does in the game, but who knows? I'm just gonna have to take this movie's word for it. And it's appalling considering how much time and effort that the production designers took to practically recreate and model villages, items, and MacGuffins from the game. They look solid as well for the visual effects for the creatures, monsters, and NPCs you see in the game. Though the green screen compositing is something quite atrocious, to the point where you can see the blue fuzz around an actor's hair, but I digress. It's not just the world building that suffers mightily. It's also the complete dependency on convenient events to advance the plot and the reliance on deus ex machinas to save a character from a harrowing situation. Many of them can be boiled down into just 2 sentences. One of them, man, that was lucky. And the second, you could have done that the whole time? Example, it is established that the piglins in the Nether had this potion that they need to drink in order to have immunity from the overworld sunlight. Otherwise, they would get zombified. And one of the piglin leaders states, hey, we need to take just sips of it. We don't have much of the potion left. To which the obvious question should be, why don't you just make more of them? I mean, rather than just being addicted to gold and just trying to scour for it, you think that you would manage your resources and make more of those potions? So that way you can rule the overworld with an iron fist? In another example, it's incredibly convenient that Steve said that there was another mansion that just so happens to have another earth crystal for the Orb of Dominance. I mean, it was incredibly rare for Steve to encounter the earth crystal and the Orb of Dominance in that mine. What are the odds that there would be another earth crystal in the overworld far away from where they're located? And it's convenient again that Steve's pet wolf Dennis just so happens to run into the female characters when they get lost, but it's also super lucky that just when Dennis is about to attack him with his eyes glowing red, because in the games, wolves are neutral and they will attack you if you threaten them, that in order to turn him back to normal, there just so happens to be a bone standing right in front of the character's legs. And it's even luckier when Dennis just so happens to know where Steve is going so the group can reunite. This is not a joke. In that scene between Dennis, Dawn, and Natalie, those are 3 coincidences in one scene. Then there's this moment where Steve makes it clear to Henry and Garrett to not look an Enderman in the eye, otherwise they will fry your brains out. And Henry, because he's a total Nimrod, decides to look at the Enderman in the eye, and he gets enchanted by its dark magic. So he's screwed, right? Well, no, because afterwards he just easily gets out of it and kills the Enderman. How many people wrote this again? Oh yeah, 6. A lot of this also plays into the action set pieces. The movie has our blocks of wood we call characters learn mechanics and acquire skills that they never had mastered before for when they need it at the time. And nobody faces any kind of danger or peril just so we can rack the stakes up. For example, the male characters know how to control these gliders on their backs so easily in order to get away from the Piglin army, despite never knowing how to handle gliders in this universe. But the obvious example is that when the Piglin army are making their siege into this village in order to capture Steve, including our 4 walking mannequins we call characters, both Natalie and Dawn, for some strange reason, just when the Piglins are attacking them, have these melee close quarter combat skills that they use against them as that they just learned from a self-defense training school. Something that Natalie ends up creating at the end. Spoilers, who cares? Why? Who knows? The movie sure doesn't develop it any further. It literally has Natalie and Dawn going, "How did you do that?" "I don't know, it just happened." And that is literally the explanation that you get. 6 people wrote this! The second example of laziness is the characters. The majority of them don't even have characters. They are cardboard cutouts of concepts of characters. They are blank figurines. It's like one of those get well soon bears that you would find, I don't know, at a Build-A-Bear workshop, in which you have like these bears that kids would write on in order to tell a person get well soon, or just writing anything on it, describing the bear, what it means to them. Except in this case, there's nothing written on the bear. It's all blank. Everyone acts the way that you would expect for them to behave, and everyone doesn't have a single ounce of dimension or depth to them. And when the movie actually tries to give just a modicum of depth to their character, it falls completely flat and forgets that it ever happened. Nobody has any chemistry with each other, nobody has a character arc that they have to overcome, nor do they learn anything that pertains to the lesson of the movie, which is also non-existent. The only development that you get in a Minecraft movie is between Garrett and Steve, but that's only because the film wants to contrive a headbutting bro-off between the two. The film can't even figure out who the main character of the movie is, and at the very best, act like checker pieces in order to advance the plot. Despite my plot synopsis at the beginning of the movie, I thought the main characters were gonna be the 2 kids, since they are the movie and the game's target demographic. The tragedy is that the film has these moments to where you can see the potential, but the film snatches it away by underwriting their development. There's an exchange that happens when they reunite after being separated, and that exchange goes by in about 4 lines, and that's about it. For characterizations, the movie tries to have Natalie be this maternal figure to Henry after their mother has died, and she has to step into that role, which would have been absolutely fine if the film did anything with it and didn't completely forget about it once we approach the second act. Henry, on the other hand, is a boy genius who is creative because he's creative. And all of his trials of him having to overcome being bullied and all of his doubt thinking that he isn't creative or brilliant is all half-assed and legitimately unearned, considering the fact that he almost created a fully functional jetpack in one class session, and the only reason why the jetpack didn't work is because the bullies tampered with it. Henry didn't even make a mistake. It wasn't even his fault. If the bullies didn't interfere, he would have had a functional jetpack, and he would get hundreds of scholarships. Daniela Brooks as Dawn has no purpose to the plot whatsoever. Seriously, if you yank her presence out of the plot and combined her characteristics with another character, nothing in the movie would change. Her character is literally, she likes animals. And that's it. There's nothing about it that fleshes out her character. Jason Momoa's character, Garrett Garrison, is essentially characterized as a former arcade champion and was nicknamed the Garbage Man because of a technique that he used in a classic beat-em-up in order to win championships. But his gaming abilities have nothing to do with anything They paid no contribution to the plot. As to why he's written to be a veteran hardcore gaming champion, my only guess is that he was written to be this way because the writers and the studio wants to pander to people who played arcade games back in the day. Like myself, of course, but it's just not good enough. Nor does it help that when he's faced against enemies like the piglins, or creatures like the undead or creepers, the film uses him for nothing other than to have him get tossed around, beat up, scream whenever something bizarre happens, or have him do something braggadocious only for him to ultimately fail and get himself humiliated just so a character in another frame can turn to him and go, "Wow, you are such a moron," or "Man, you are the worst ever." He's a meathead used for slapstick, one-liners, and pratfalls. And yet, Jason Momoa comes away the best actor of the whole movie. Sure, he does his basic Aqua Bro acting techniques, such as having a dry sense of humor or having a soft side while maintaining the facade of being your average bro-y tough guy. But it's the only performance in the entire movie that doesn't make you want to light your hair on fire. And speaking of lighting your hair on fire, let's talk about Jack Black as Steve. Normally, we would tolerate Jack Black in a vocal performance for a video game such as Brutal Legend, or a family film such as the Super Mario Bros. Movie or the Kung Fu Panda series. But his casting and his performances as of late have been so typecast, so samey and infuriating that it's getting tiresome watching him. It's bad enough that he is woefully miscast as the icon of Minecraft, having to over-exaggerate and acting extremely jolly and over the top in every single sentence that you want to rip the gum from the floor of the theater and plug it into your ear holes. But his character as a whole, he's a plot device and the wizard of all things exposition. He's a guy who knows exactly how to get a MacGuffin in the area, and yet his entire strategies on how he goes about retrieving an item or escaping relies on just plain dumb luck or him being completely brainless. And much like all generic heroes, such as generic hero number 453 from Seventh Son, we have our generic villains. Malgosha is generic villain number 632. Yet again, in the assembly line of generic evil villains, she is evil because she's evil. We need a villain, otherwise we don't have a movie. But do you guys want to hear her ascent to villainy? Is your body ready? Her rationale for being the main bad guy of the movie is that at one point, she was a contestant on Nether's Got Talent and was humiliated after dancing in front of a crowd, and her father tells her that the Nether has no place for creativity. Get back to work! And so she decides to take her vengeance out on the overworld to engulf the realm in darkness because creativity is terrible and should be eradicated. But you know what? If you thought that was bad, wait till the film tells you how it came up with the term Minecraft, which never existed in the overworld before, given the context of the movie. Keep in mind, spoilers. Are you ready? Okay. When Steve sees from a distance Malgosha summoning her piglin army through a portal, he tells his group, "All right, guys, we know how to mine and we know how to craft. Let's Minecraft!" And then suddenly, around the world, screenwriters died. The third and final example of laziness is just simple things like entertainment value. The comedy is just straight up unfunny, as every single joke damages the human senses. Aside from the insipid puns, witless dialogue, and pratfalls, there is a totally funny subplot, get this, in which the vice principal of Henry's school encounters a Minecraft villager that transports from the portal into the real world. And much like a bunch of stuff that happens throughout the film, it is a complete waste of time. What does this contribute to the story? Nothing. Why is it here? And just when you think that subplot isn't bad enough, something baneful happens towards the end of the movie, where everything in the film is tied up in a bow and everything has to end in a musical number, in a dance sequence. This kind of crap implemented in family movies, Hollywood, It needs to stop. It has been annoying us for years. We hated it in the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies. We hated it in Norm of the North. We hated it in the Lorax and other enraging projects. Hollywood, you need to stop with this. Stop doing this. This is not something to pander to children to. This is not going to make them dance or say, you know what? That was a good movie, Mommy. Let's watch it again. This kind of stuff in family movies or in animated films, it needs to stop. Pronto. A Minecraft movie is so depraved and brain-smashingly bad that it makes you feel like calling CPS to haul your child away after he or she made you watch such a terrible movie. Is this really the best that Hollywood can muster, making video game adaptations? God help us all if that is the case. But you know, at least we have some exceptions that I can count on just one hand. Do not watch this movie. Save your money. In fact, you know what? Cousins, nephews of mine, if you're watching this, just remember, I'm doing this for you. Skip this movie entirely. Do not watch this movie for the love of humanity. Believe me, you'll thank your cousin and Uncle Luke Nukem for later. My name is Luke Nuke. Well, and you, my friends, have been blessed.